Okay, Chthonius or Chthonius, depending on how you call yourself. I just seen your video called Spiritual Evidence, and I like what you say. Okay, I do like what you say because essentially you're approaching this from the point of view of evidence, all right, for spiritual things. Because there's lots of very confused ideas in the world, and there are lots of people out there who are just after money or who are just after changing a political dynamic and like creating some problems and making things a bit more difficult for the whole wide world. And of course, there's plenty of individuals out there. I mean, both boys and girls have hormonal issues, and everyone once in a while gets a flu or a fever or has a dose of insomnia, and all these things can affect the ability of the human organism to perceive things clearly. So yes, there will be lots of people jumping to conclusions that this, that, and the other is a form of hard and fast spiritual evidence. But, and there is a big but here, and the big but here is, number one, firstly, proof and evidence, okay, are stages in a debate. Alright, they're not necessarily final. I mean, humans want to look out for something that is final. Alright, a lot of the criticisms of things which have more questions to be asked aren't actually totally finalized, all right? So that creates more and more issues. I mean, people want to have a hard and fast thing. People want to have something solid. People cling on to dogmatic fundamentalism because they want to have something which seems to be totally robust, totally solid, totally, you know, clear cut, as if it was pure physical, okay? This telephone handset exists, I know it exists, right? But that way of thinking can be wrong. I mean, if you think about it, why would a physicist hate a sociologist? A physicist might say something like, well, sociology is not a proper science. Well, which of course is incorrect, because the word science means the search for the truth. It doesn't always necessarily mean to say you find it. It means the search for the truth. And also, even with standard physical sciences, okay? Think about it. Standard physical sciences. An experiment can be done with all the right controls and all the rest of that. It can go through the process of experimentation, publishing, and peer review, and be accepted, and be regarded as being like the way, the truth, and the light of that particular form of research into the physical universe. And then many years later, the experiment can then be revisited, and someone can say, well, actually, there was a problem with a particular methodology there. There was a problem with this, a problem with that. So, you know, the argument then moves further forward, but it's still part of the search for the truths rather than necessarily completely finding it. Okay, forgive me, I've just farted. Now, when it comes to something which is slightly more, slightly different, slightly odd, slightly peculiar, or outside of things such as your natural physical reductionist sciences of biology, chemistry, genetics, physics, and quantum physics, and all the rest of that. Yeah, things get difficult. But no matter how much evidence against an individual's argument is provided, does that negate the possibility that there are things in this universe which have not been properly researched? Certainly not, because if that was, if everything was already known, then there would be no need to have any science at all. All right, we've had all kinds of great things happen in the recent years, mapping of the human genome, people like traveling across the ocean, taking samples of seawater and like discovering new species just through trawling with the right variety of filter papers at the right depth, and then having a look at it all under microscopes and seeing all kinds of like weird stuff there. I mean, stuff is still being learnt just about the physical universe, just about the oceans. Alright, the oceans. We've known the oceans were there since we've discovered water. Alright? Alright, and we're still finding out about the oceans. We're still finding out about ecosystems. We're still finding out about forms of energy and all that kind of stuff, okay? So, we as a species, not we as individuals, not just like you and me just sitting in a corner drinking tea. Yeah, well, obviously it was just me. I just made a cup of tea, split the atom, just a standard average Sunday afternoon for me, you know what I mean? No, not we as in you and me, but we as a whole species are progressing forward with science, okay? can we take an action which completely negates something that we don't yet know about? No, because we don't yet know what it is yet. But there are strange experiences which seem to occur. That's my point of view, okay, on the basis of having had strange experiences, but trying to help people to see it from a slightly more intelligent, informed point of view. Can I turn around to you and say, this is hard and fast evidence of ghosts or blue-nosed baboon elemental spirits from the planet Tharg who are trying to take over the world using UFOs? No. And nor would I want to. Okay, I think that's wrong way of thinking. That's a real wrong way of thinking. But it is evidence of a sort. Remember, evidence is a stage in a debate. Okay, but it's also based upon what you can observe, what you can experiment with in some ways. Okay, just like participant observation is still a form of study. All right, it's not necessarily a form of experiment which has, the control and all that kind of stuff, and applying all your statistical tests to the various different outcomes to evaluate using essentially correlation of a more advanced level what it is that's created a particular phenomena, but you're still searching for an experience, all right, and then asking questions of the experience through trying to do things in different ways. But of course, humans are stupid, full stop. As a species, we're pathetic because we tend to stop at a certain level, and a lot of individuals within spiritual communities tend to stop at dogma. Like there's a glass ceiling of dogma. Boom, let's stop there. That proves Jesus Christ is alive today and he's living in my belly, or Satan was stopping me from doing my homework, or just like no, you don't want to upset the god Thor on a Wednesday because that's not the day when he likes to come out to play, or stuff like that. Because humans in spiritual environments like to stop at dogma. Okay, and they will therefore use their experiences, no matter what they are, to justify dogma. But dogma is not a statement of fact. It's a statement of point of view. Now, if you're looking at the subject of, hang on, I'm beginning to lose my track now, okay? If you're looking at the subjects of what people in spiritual circles say is true, okay, and let's say it's based upon a spiritual point of view which is dogmatic. Yes, you can choose to believe or disbelieve, but essentially are you purely seeking to reach a level of belief which is no different in reality to stopping at a glass ceiling of dogma? Or are you in fact trying to find out what is true? Now, I know this has been a bit of a rambly video, alright? But I'm trying my hardest not to stop at a point of dogma in my own life. I mean, I've been through various dogmatic phases in my existence. We all do, because we're humans, and that's what we like to do. We like to find something which seems true and then to hang on to it until such time as, we've researched to the point whereby that does not seem to fit somehow. Okay? Where was I? Alright, okay, so is reaching the point of either belief or disbelief dogmatic? If it is dogmatic to either reach a point of belief or disbelief, is that right or is it wrong? Okay. And if you have dogmatically reached a position of belief or disbelief, have you therefore blasphemed against the search for the truth? Okay, because you can have yourself like a lack of experience, okay, a lack of experience of God, for instance, or a lack of experience of the Virgin Mary, flying spaghetti monster, blue-nosed baboons who are trying to take over the world with UFOs, whatever, and therefore you can choose to disbelieve. Or you can say that we haven't had enough, there's not enough well-known, well-documented day-to-day experiences of blue-nosed baboons in UFOs trying to take over the world, or aliens or ghosts or whatever, flying spaghetti monsters or Jesus Christ or whatever. And therefore they don't exist, or therefore it is my belief that they don't exist. But it doesn't actually prove it, especially if you're dealing with something which is outside the bounds of standard, typical methodologies of investigation into nature. Remember things such as participant observation as a form of social research is actually comparatively recent as a form of discipline within the sciences, okay? But only within the first couple of decades, I think. Which essentially means that we as a species have had to progress in our thinking to the point whereby participant observation would actually be allowed as a methodology of investigation into nature. Freud, the father of psychoanalytical theory, actually based a lot of his ability to understand the world through intensely non-positivistic methodologies. Okay? But it was still a way of looking at the way in which people seemed to operate. And we could say that there is a connection between neurological discoveries about the various regions of the brain moving from your hindbrain through to your frontal cortex and aspects of the Freudian model of how the mind seems to work. So maybe there is a connection there. But it was still a method of scientific investigation because it was part of the search for the truth. Now, if participant observation and introspection, which was of course the methodology used by Freud, are in fact methods of uncovering something about the way the world works, why not other methods stolen from spirituality? To which the question would either be, why? Well, because there's some things which can be experienced and we therefore need to have a look at it because essentially it could be something. And of course, just as introspection and participant observation are methodologies of investigation into the natural world in a different way, which is still part of science, maybe the other methods of looking inwardly that we use in meditation, prayer and ritual also have their place to a certain extent, although there's too many things we can't say completely about the states of mind that we develop, all right, and the experiences that we have, because at this present point in time, they raise questions, not providing answers. And we can either stop at a dogmatic glass ceiling, or we can say that, these are great experiences, or we can have the experiences, but we can't create some kind of like factual superstructure about the way the universe works on that basis. So, the evidence that some people may have gained as a result of spiritual exploration of sorts may still be or possibly classified as being scientific. However, it's the conclusions that people have come to and that they then promote, which is unscientific because it's not necessarily, or it's less scientific because it's not necessarily complete in terms of a model of the world which can then be, tested and repeated and so on and so forth, because the experiences are comparatively elusive, but they could still be representative of something happening in the natural world which we as of yet don't understand. Now, I do apologize profusely that this video has been quite so rambling, and I don't know whether any of this is going to float your boat at all, or whether it's going to resonate with you, or you're going to understand a single word I've said, But I just want your feedback and your opinion upon what I've said, despite the fact that it's all a bit long-winded and complex and all sort of like, man, I don't know, kind of like thing. Anyway, over to your chat.